Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 2020 LCK Spring. I am Atlas, and today I am joined by a new special guest that you may remember if you have a memory that lasts a really, really long time. It is Will Chobra Cho, former translator for the LCK, back in 2013? What is this? The biggest blast from the past possible.
Yeah, you make it sound like I'm some ancient fossil that came
I have to. I need to make sure that I utilize this time because I'm the boomer of this broadcast, and if I can find a moment to not be that guy, then I have to embrace it, you know?
Well, yeah, you're definitely the zoomer of this duo, I'll tell you that.
Yes! Finally! Ever since Papa's gone, it's been really hard to really find my my youth, you know. So welcome back to the broadcast. Like, what have you been doing since your departure from the LCK?
I mean, a lot's happened. Obviously, the last time I was in Korea, working on League of Legends was 2015. I've done some work with League of Legends after that, of course, at a global level. But mostly, I transitioned into production, producing, and then hosting if I was ever doing events. You might have caught me like commentating now and then, just randomly popping up here and there. And then now I'm back in Seoul, actually, and so had a chance to join you here.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. This is going to be really exciting. And we get some pretty good games as well. As we're going to start off with T1 versus Hanwha Life, and you might be looking at these standings being like 2nd versus 8th. That's boring, but no. Hanwha Life were able to actually beat T1 back in week 1.
Yes.
And it made T1 look like they hadn't quite figured things out yet, and T1 had a bit of a rough start in the Kesper Cup as well, and we were asking questions. And then since then, it's been okay. They dropped that one match to Afrika, but otherwise, nothing's really stood in their way. But do Hanwha Life still have that secret sauce? And the really cool thing about this is that we have some of the players that you've commentated and taken part with well back in the day. I mean, some of our players are getting on themselves, and I think Cuve, Faker, these sort of names certainly do ring some bells.
Yeah, and I think, especially, whenever the name Faker comes up, I think it really needs to put in perspective that he's actually been around for quite some time now, right? I remember his, very first game, and that was now, 6-7 years ago. So this has been a while, but like you said, Cuve was actually one of the players I commentated in one of my last days of broadcast here in Korea, and to see him still here in the LCK is pretty cool.
Was that when he was promoting, or was that when he was trying to defend his spot? I'm trying to remember back.
He was unfortunately trying to defend his spot. There wasn't a positive storyline there. It was mostly just let's stay alive.
Oh dear. A little bit of a worry. Thankfully, you were able to give Monty and Doa some time off, though, and provide us some context with your commentary experience. But these are the points of the match. T1's back, trying to take down Hanwha Life, and they really want to get back to the correct side of the bracket because they were holding down that 6th spot, which is what this team is known for. They were gatekeepers back when this team used to be known as the Rocks Tigers, a very different one to the ones that you might remember from the Coup Tigers days. Not the same team, however, the same name, very different players, and they just own that 6th spot. That's generally what they do. But now sitting down in 8th, and they really do need to try and pull themselves back together to retain at least their legacy. But it's not necessarily happening just yet. And T1 utilizing their rookie jungler, Ellen, which is really exciting. This guy, we've heard talk of him for a really long time, but has only just debuted here in round 2. And I like Cuz. He's a great player, but Ellen seems to have been really meshing well with the team.
Yeah, it just seemed, whenever you see someone come in, whether it's kind of off of the bench or as a new player, you always expect something to be a little bit wonky in the first couple of matches, but so far, Elam's proven within this week that things have been very smooth, and if anything, maybe even better to a certain point. And like you said, nothing against Cuz, but I think it's a breath of fresh air for T1.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and it seems like Canna's stats have improved since Elam joined as well, so there might be this sort of young gun synergy that they have going on. Of course, Canna a rookie for this squad as well, so it might be that maybe they're bringing each other up, and that top jungle synergy is what T1 are really gunning for here. We talked a lot yesterday, Wadid and I, about mid-jungle synergy. The age gap between Elam and Faker is very, very large, but it's a little bit of a different story when you're talking about Canna. So maybe we'll see them playing around topside, and especially with patch 10.5, adding a little bit of emphasis to getting that top lane priority with the extra gold that you can claim from the turret plates, it might be an avenue that they can attack.
Yeah, it seems like as we're looking at these stats, just overall, it's working out for T1. I think that's always been the question, right? There was never any question about Faker, and of course Teddy has been carrying his weight, and the question's always been, well, the jungle and top, like, what are they going to do to continue to switch that up? And so far, now it's looking like you said, with that 10.5 patch, with LM coming in, this might be kind of that powerhouse moment for T1 once again.
Yeah, and T1 with some pretty decent stats here, apart from that second one. Not entirely sure what that stat even is. Can you translate that one for us, Chobra? I know that used to be in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Putting me on the spot a little bit here. Well, yeah, it looks like that's actually kills for the whole team per minute. So,
right.
so showcasing the overall, I guess, kill amount that you're seeing within their games.
And just showing that T1 certainly have been playing very, very slowly throughout most of their games. We saw yesterday that complete clown fiesta of a game number one between APK and Damwon. There is no other way to put it. Thankfully, we had an unleashed Wadid on the broadcast and able to really speak candidly about it. It was not pretty, but it was a hell of a lot of kills, and that is not how T1 plays. They are very clean and very, very consistent. And I think that has a lot to do, especially with their most recent match. We were both watching it against DRX. My God, Teddy is just so damn good at the moment. Yeah. He is popping off, and that is terrifying. When you see like the power of the Jin Air 80 carry at full flight, oh man, I think that he's got some extra rocket fuel in those engines today.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Teddy's one of those names that, you know, he really debuted after I had left Korea, but the fact that I knew of his Jin Air times just, like, really showcases what this guy's capable of, and obviously he's kind of fulfilling his own prophecy right now on T1 alongside his teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be the lineup. Elam back on the roster once again as Kana is there towards the top side, and then all the players that you know in Faker, Teddy, and Effort. We were having this discussion, Chobra and I, before the broadcast, but it's so strange talking about this team when Faker is such a huge name, but then the second most long-standing player on T1 right now is Effort, which is just insanity because there are so many huge names that came from this squad. You know, you've got the Marins of the world, their top lane, I mean, Impact, like so many huge names, but no longer are they on this roster. Even names like, you know, Marta, Wolf, Bang, like huge. Even Bengi people are going to remember, but there's so much change. And a lot of change for Hanwha Life moving into this season as well. I don't know whether there's too many other than other than Cuvée that you'd recognize. I think Haru was around the traps a little bit, and Lehens was definitely being a menace in solo queue.
Yeah, Lehens has obviously made his name a little bit here and there in solo queue, and then kind of trying out for different teams. Really, obviously made his breakthrough recently. But Cuvée is really the only one that was consistently in the pro scene when I was still in Korea.
Yeah, and also I think playing for Samsung Galaxy well back in the day as well, and he didn't move teams until the beginning of this year. So that the name may have changed of the squad, of course being KSV for a little while before they moved to Gen G, but it was the same roster, that 2017 World Championship roster, for a really, really long time, and Cuvée, a very long-standing member of that squad, now moving over to Hanwha Life to try and get things sorted out there. And remember, Cuvé's pretty good at taking down T1s. He did that in 2017.
Yeah, there you go.
And he was left Faker in the chair with that very iconic video that we see over and over again. Must be frustrating to be Faker and have to watch that all the time, but this is not frustrating. Look at these stats. He's much better than Tempt is on paper. And his LeBlanc, we need to see it again today because it's just a joy.
Do we, will we though? I mean, I think there's something wrong if we do see it today. That's true.
Apparently people are okay with letting it through. I don't know whether that's ever a good idea, especially not against Faker, but we'll have to see what happens as we get into the ban and pick here for game number one. T1 on our blue side and Hanwha Life will be on the red. And now this is the part that may have changed. We're not in Renekton and Shyvana top lane meta anymore.
Oh, really?
Chobra, and there are a few new champions in the game. Maybe since you've
just a handful, I'm sure.
Yeah, these two in fact weren't there back in 2015.
Oh my gosh, was Kalista? Wow, Kalista's actually.
Oh no, 2015 was Kalista. So Kalista came in the beginning of that year, I think.
Well, don't worry. I've still been playing the game and obviously like watching, whether it's highlights or keeping up with the results of the league. So the champions I still recognize when we see their portraits as we see the bans go down. The Trundle ban to me is interesting just because we still don't know fully what LM's capable of, other than obviously his Trundle's been very good and very aggressive and useful on the side of T1. So I think this is a good test to see what else can he do, and does he have more than one or two champions that he's able to play here on the stage.
You could imagine that, Trundle just feels like a very odd pickup, especially, ban away, especially when it's red side and you're so pinched with the bans that you have available. I mean, they'd love to be able to ban both Ornn and Aphelios right here, but they can't. They have to let one of them through, and the Aphelios is going to be the target ban. But now just giving over an Ornn to a T1 that is so consistent and so reliable when it comes to getting to a late game, I think is just a gigantic blunder here for Hanwha Life. They're going to need one hell of a strategy to really lock this one down. With the Trundle ban, maybe we're seeing like Hanwha Life with this idea of trying to get onto an Olaf pick that can have more control in the early game. We see a lot of Trundle picked into the Olaf, but I'm not entirely sure. Varus is another priority pick, though, that is going to go through, and Hanwha Life do really like picking up this champion whenever they can. Last time, they lost back-to-back games on it, but maybe we'll see a different approach, as without picking up the Olaf, that is going to go into the hands of LM pretty comfortably.
Yeah,
I believe.
I mean, I think it's... I guess we'll wait and see. I mean, they're not in any rush if they want to try to pick up a couple other flex picks that they have available. Looks like it will be the Olaf. I think the Jarvan for Haru obviously makes sense, just given how comfortable he is on that champion. And so now it's a good test to see if LM can keep up when he's away from that, what seems to be a comfort Trundle pick, as we see that Ezreal being picked up for T1 as well.
Yep, Teddy, one of the most legendary Ezreal players that we have in the league at the moment. It's him, ruler, and deft when you're talking about this champion, and he performs differently in the hands of these three players than he does in the hands of anyone else, other than maybe aiming. I think aiming has really leveled up his performance, and on Ezreal almost specifically, as that's a Maokai. Oh. All right, so this is a throwback for you, Chobro. Look at Hanwha Life. They've got Jarvan, Maokai, Varus. They're making sure they keep it in your wheelhouse. But
Maokai's changed since then, so he's not the same champion.
Look at the portrait. Don't look at his abilities. It's fine. And a lot of those abilities are still the same. It's just the ultimate, right?
It's really the ultimate that changed. I mean, how he's played, really. And obviously, even that rework's been a while now. Now that we're talking about this, it just makes me realize how old I am in the scene, because everything
don't
seems
you worry.
so ancient.
I remember back when Destiny Gate on Twisted Fate was his E button, so don't you worry. I'm also a boomer when it comes to League of Legends. We are fossils, but we're happy to embrace it here on this broadcast. As LeBlanc is banned away from Faker, of course, and Gangplank is going to be what T1 are going to be focusing on. I'm expecting that Maokai to head towards the top side, but there might be some weird shenanigans. This is Lehens. He plays really dumb stuff on purpose. So this Maokai could be going mid, could be going top, and could be going into that support position as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I would wager that it's going top. If that's the case, I think they're trying to maybe kind of pull a little bit of that power away from a lot of the top lane focus that T1 seems to have coming into the second round. As you see that Zoe being banned out as well, we've seen it kind of making that resurgence. I know you were talking about a couple of days ago, like, why don't we see Zoe more often? And clearly the teams are picking up on it as well.
Yeah, she's going to be taken off the board. The Thresh is locked in, so that is going to put the Maokai into a solo lane. And Thresh Varus is an extraordinarily strong, just straight up 2v2 lane into whatever you want. But I'm really surprised that Hanwha Life didn't pick away the Azir. Azir's been almost permabanned. He was, I think, banned every single game yesterday. And when we have 3 best of 3s, that's a lot of games that is not allowed to be played in. So very surprising that they give Faker one of his most famous champions. You might argue that Easy Hoon was the original
I was
SKT Azir player. He has the skin. People think that it's Faker's skin, but no. Faker's got the Rise one. He's got a few others, but it's not the Azir. That is Easy Hoon. And the Nautilus to be locked in as well.
And then we see the Kai'Sa, so the Varus now going into that mid lane.
The classic counter pick,
yeah. It makes sense against the Azir. I mean, I have to assume they were prepared for that, right? Like you said, letting the Azir through. After banning the LeBlanc, they clearly had their focus. So what's clear to me is Hanwha Life did have a plan. It's not that it seemed random or that they weren't doing the research, but like you said, Atlas, at the end of the day, it's T1, and you're giving so much power into the late game. So if you're not shutting them down early, like very early, I mean, this combination of Teddy on Ezreal, Faker on Azir, and the Ornn coming in for Kana, that seems really risky.
Yeah, this is basically full comfort for T1 and a hodgepodge mismatch of what we can do to try and specifically counter what we see on the other side. But I don't know whether it works cohesively. Yes, they do have sort of like 2 tanks. They have some peel for the backline in the Thresh. They have Varus, which is a great lane into Azir. And they have Kai'Sa for some late game insurance. But I just feel like they have a comp that's trying to do what T1's already does better than them. That's the worry that I have. And we'll see whether Hanwha Life are going to be able to get over the line, because if they don't have a big mid-game lead, then Ornn's just going to start pumping resources into his team, and I don't see what Hanwha can do. I think if I was LS, who likes to do the predictions after the draft, I'd give this like an 80% T1, even if the nameplates were off, which is 80%. Very scary for Hanwha Life. I
think that's fair. Just like you said, just looking at the draft itself, again, it's not looking too promising for Hanwha. And I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, I mean, we keep talking about, okay, well, they need to get this early lead. They need to have a good, power spike going into the mid game for Hanwha to even have a chance to win this game. But, I mean, where are you realistically going to get this when we're looking at the picks plus the players that are playing them, right? I mean, are you going to try to focus on Faker? I mean, maybe, especially since LM seems to be focusing more on the top lane. Honestly, that's kind of my only imagination, because I don't know if you're going to have an easy time catching Teddy on Ezreal. So we'll see where Haru's movement really goes. Personally, that's kind of my big interest in the first part of this game.
Yeah, it feels to me like Hanwha Life have mid lane to focus on. And when you're already projecting that in your draft, it's really, really dangerous, because it makes you incredibly predictable with where you're going to be pathing around this map. I mean, top lane is a moot point. It's just going to be these 2 tanks bopping each other, and not too much kill pressure up there unless you can really get some intense jungle assistance, but it's not likely to be the focus. Mid lane is where Hanwha do have a drafting advantage as far as that particular pickup, but they have priced themselves into it so aggressively, right? It feels like to a fault they have decided to counterpick Faker. And
we've seen teams do this
so often.
I think teams, like, they scramble, right? When they see, Faker and T1, they try all these things and then they realize, okay, there's not an answer. Maybe we just need to shut Faker down. But it's like that's never a plan you purchase, right? That just happens by luck now and then. So I don't know. And also, Faker hasn't been the hard carry for this team. Yes, he's been playing very, very well, but it's this guy that we're seeing on our screen right here. It's Teddy that is the true carry of T1 and has been for their last couple of matches, and is why this team is so terrifying. We do have to have a look at some of these keystones, because that is an unsealed spellbook on Thresh, which is not something that we see all that often. And Lehens does like to do some weird stuff, but that's some extra weird over there. And the other strange thing is, after the exhaust buff, we see Effort taking the ignite anyway, wanting to make sure that they can get some early power in this lane, I guess. But with the power of exhaust now increased to 3 seconds, I think it's quite interesting that they haven't opted in for that one. Yeah, personally, I've always been a big advocate of exhaust. I think it's always been a little too overlooked just because of the sheer power of ignite. Like you said with the buff, obviously we've seen it come around a little bit more. I have to believe that, Effort and T1's idea here is what you just previously mentioned. Just the power of Teddy, making sure that carry potential comes through rather than playing in any way of defensive form. Just going straight for the kills and having that confidence that they're able to play a little bit more aggressively when needed. And also, I mean, Nautilus has so much CC just in his kit.
Oh, yeah.
So he might have just overlooked that exhaust because of that natural buff that Nautilus has.
Yeah, and when you pair it with the Ornn as well in teamfight, like, it almost makes you able to decide who gets to play League of Legends and who doesn't, which is a very, very scary thing. As we have a look at some of these stats, and this is what we were talking about as far as how Canna performs with both of these junglers respectively, and you can see the stats have increased for LM, and it just shows that, you know, these trainees that have been playing with each other for a lot longer, that synergy is important.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, the craziest stat is Canna, right? His kill participation at 15 minutes has just skyrocketed thanks to Elim, but even elsewhere, Elim's just been much more aggressive and active. Hasn't just been taking a back seat compared to Cuz's style, and has been, you know, counter jungling a little bit more, popping up more around the map, and we're just seeing more action from Elim. Now, again, the question is, we're seeing his Olaf for the first time. Is this going to stay true to Olaf as well, or not? I mean, I have to wager, given the current junglers that are going around, if anyone's going to be a little bit similar to what Trundle is capable of doing early on, it might be Olaf. And Olaf's definitely a little bit weaker in terms of how much he can withstand earlier, but in terms of, you know, running in and just adding a lot more power to the ganks and showing a little bit more pressure, that might still be in his wheelhouse.
The thing I like about it as well is that Olaf power farms his jungle so incredibly fast that LM can get into the lanes and onto the map without having to sacrifice too much as well. So it really does suit that more aggressive playstyle that he does have. And Olaf just a great early game jungler in general, so we'll see where he can actually affect, especially with the lanes that T1 has. I mean, ganking for Canna will be something that T1 can do, just because Olaf has the damage, has the slow, but yes, Canna has that hard CC option towards the bottom side, and the same can be said for Efforts Nautilus. So there are lanes that you can gank, even if you are this Olaf that only really has that slow as far as the gank CC that he has available to him. So not too bad. Cuvée struggling here towards the top side as he's made brittle. If that had been an auto attack boop, that would have been very close to Canna being able to just really put the screws in as he throws down the ultimate, looks for this solo kill on the Canna. There's the flash forward. The Bellows breath comes out, but Cuvée eventually gets searing charged to death, and Haru now finds his way in, will get the trade kill, but that solo still fantastic for Canna.
Yeah, that was, I mean, just really good decision making. I think Cuvée maybe got a little bit too comfortable, just assuming, oh, we're both tanks, like he's not going to make a dive. But again, it's Ornn, who's not only very tanky, but has that longer range initiation that he can get. And now that opens up Elim to be able to start this dragon, and the first dragon will be going over to T1.
Yep, I absolutely love this. T1 always been fantastic at following up with advantages that they get elsewhere on the map. So they see Haru and they just take everything that they have available to them with that extra information. And now Emperor's Divide in the mid lane, Tempt in trouble. He can't get to the lantern eventually. Able to walk on over there, but that is a lot of pressure now down. And the heal is on cooldown as well, as there's the Ragnarok that has been popped. Lehen's able to get himself out of the way as a flash out as Haru makes his way in. But there's the Chains of Corruption. Effort has to flash in order to get out of there. Great hook from Lehen's, but he is going to suffer the trade kill as Elim wants to try and offer more, but Haru's health bar just a little bit too high, and in the end, it is an even trade.
Yeah, it turns out even, but now you've given, obviously, a kill to Faker, got that stack now going for his items, and both kills going over to Haru just seems like it's more of just a pity payback, right, in favor of Hanwha. They're not really able to get what we talked about in making sure that their laners are building into this mid game, and they're just kind of making sure they're not completely falling apart. That was very close. I don't know if it would have killed just because of the number of minions, but it was pretty close. So for Hanwha Life, they are responding, but again, it just proves that Haru seems to be a step late, or maybe just Elim's a step early and faster. And if that's the case early game, things are not looking good.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at this replay here and just have a look. I mean, Tempt very close to not making it towards the lance and actually clicked it through the Emperor's Divide. That otherwise would have just been his demise. And this was Elim. Good timing on the Ragnarok, but better timing for Haru to turn up and deny any sort of dive attempt.
I think that maybe there could have just been a little bit earlier communication from Elim, just saying that he has flash, that he's fine. I think Effort got caught out half a second too much longer, trying to see if he needed to add a little bit more CC or defend and sacrifice himself. Ends up doing so, unfortunately, and they make a trade in that mid lane.
Yeah, things very even towards the bottom side, though. You can see Teddy and Vista were left on their own for a while. Teddy has gone for the Sheen first option, now building towards Trinity Force most likely, as you can see that longsword in his back pocket. Actually, decides to sell it. Got himself the potion and some brown bags instead, so maybe just a little bit too early on the call. But that's absolutely fine. We're going to have a return back here from Vista as well, as things do just balance themselves out. But Cubey up towards the top side. He's got his Catalyst, but he's a whole Barmy Cinder behind. And Canna still able to play as slowly as he would like. He's dictating the pace of this lane almost in its entirety. As now Effort will help secure this Rift Scuttler as well for LM, and T1 do have control of this topside river. And the Chains of Corruption land, but Shifting Sands is going to take priority over that particular CC, so no worries there for Faker.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see a little bit of not true panic. Oh, we're going to see another gank in top lane, though.
Yep, there's the Ornn has been blown as we have the Ragnarok, and that's a very dead Cuvee. The twisted advance into the Death Chamber. Not what you want to see from your Maokai.
You can't, because, all right, already starting off, I mean, the Ornn's just stronger, right? Maokai, Maokai's a tank that no longer really feels like a tank, to be honest. He's really just a CC machine compared to a lot of these other champions that have come out and really able to withstand any of the pressure that comes through. And on top of that, you gave up that solo kill early. And Ornn obviously has a little bit more flexibility in his timings to go back. And then you have the Olaf coming in. Cuvee really can't do much. And like you said, Atlas, what is even more unfortunate is at the end of the day, Canna's going to continue deciding what the pace of that top lane is. So Cuvee is now torn in that weird decision of, you know, how do I try to soak this XP when Canna's not an inexperienced player?
Yeah, and Canna's going to be able to grab yet another turret plate up there towards the top side as well. A 20 CS advantage, and now is able to go back if he would like to. He has teleport if he'd like to get back to lane even faster. So many different options, and in fact, he's just going to be building items, I believe, in that top brush anyway, as he creates himself his chain vest, moving towards that Sunfire Cape. As Haru trying to get onto Faker here, but Faker's not going to be biting that whatsoever, and he's doing absolutely fine in this lane that can be very rough for the Azir. You get fully outranged by the Varus. That is why it's been a counter pick option into the Azir for a very long time. But let's have a look at how this gank happened.
There's not much did happen, right? I mean, Cuvee, it's not that Cuvee necessarily completely overextended either, but it's again just the power of Ornn, again, being able to initiate from a lot further than you would normally feel that a melee, you know, tanky champion is able to do. And Olaf was just there for the extra damage. But quite frankly, I think even without the Olaf, that might have still been dangerous for Cuvee. Like, that's how bad this top lane looks right now for Hanwha.
Yeah, you can see kind of just making Cuvee brittle. I don't even think he needs his Bellows Breath to do that. He looks brittle enough regardless, to be perfectly honest. And it's not a good place to be. Second Drake thinking about being started up here by T1, and I don't know what Haru and Hanwha Life are going to be able to do to stop this here. Is Haru at least able to clear out some of the vision? But with 4 members of T1 hanging around in this area, it can be difficult, as there's the Cataclysm, but Haru does have to get himself out of there. I like the way he utilized that, but I don't think it's going to be enough to keep him alive unless he gets himself the Lantern. Exactly right, keeps him alive.
Yeah, I mean, that was the best bet they had, right? Was going in for the steal and coming out, especially with Faker around. His ult was ready. Obviously, Effort had his ult ready as well on that Nautilus. They are going to catch that Olaf, but just going to use his Ragnarok and run away. So going for the steal and then trying to get out, or potentially just dying on his own, was the right play. Unfortunately, Ellen was on top of things and got that smite off in the perfect time. So now it's 2 Drakes to none, and we have that Infernal Soul being prepared, which is really good news for T1.
Yeah, we've got a real spicy Drake to start this game off. But the thing that's really scary is that Hanwha Life should be the team that's stacking these Drakes. It shouldn't be T1 this game, based on the composition that Hanwha has. I feel like Hanwha should have had mid-priority throughout this game, but Faker's even been able to get into that river to continue adding more pressure. And with the tank of T1 being so much stronger and having that teleport threatened this whole time, it just feels like Hanwha are automatically playing on the back foot, and it's to do with the top lane, which is not something that we often talk about in League of Legends, especially with that top lane island situation that has been happening a lot in recent times. So really good work from Canna, really showing that that sort of rookie prowess, just the raw mechanics that he's able to utilize. And being able to utilize it on and on is another thing that I guess is feels a bit facetious when you're talking about it, because he's just a damn good champion in general.
Well, yeah, for sure. Ornn, I mean, I know Ellis is happy that Ornn's coming through a lot more often on a high priority now in the LCK, and we're seeing exactly why, obviously being proven by Kana right here. And again, I think what's interesting is this has opened up LM to be useful elsewhere, as we see Cuvee just being beaten down to a pulp once again. And LM's been doing fine. He hasn't, struggled to figure out where else he should go, right? He was responding well to that mid lane. He's been actively just taking those Drakes whenever he can, setting up early for it. And also, because of his more active performance in the enemy jungle, earlier on, they had just had so much vision on where Haru was going to be. So Hanwha Life was playing as an open book against this T1.
Yeah, feels a little bit like T1 now just have winning lanes and a winning jungle regardless of what's going on, even though Cuz was, playing things out effectively, but he was utilizing the extra space that he was given in order to farm faster and things like that, get to a late game stage that is stronger. And he's very good at these sort of mid-game junglers, like the Gragas. He's probably the best Gragas that we have in the LCK, but of course you do need to get to that level 6 before you do have that full power level. Despite the body slam being very strong, you do want to get to the explosive cask as soon as you can, and teamfight junglers are where he thrives, but LM doesn't seem to be that player, and it's allowed T1 to increase the speed of play a lot higher, and hasn't necessarily shown in the statistics just yet because they still are one of our slower teams here in the LCK, but still it's certainly showing that they can control a game far easier from far earlier as well, which is really just shoring up where they've had weaknesses in the past, and that is very scary for any other team because T1 didn't start off with many weaknesses in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, if T1 continues at this rate, right, throughout this whole second round, it's going to be a very, very scary form. Now, we're seeing Hanwha a little bit more aggressive. They do get onto Faker, but...
Yeah, good cleanse. And there's the Ornn Wing trying to pull one back. And yes, Emperor's Divide will get Haru, but Cataclysm gets himself out, flag and drag to full safety. And LM can't get himself into a good enough position. Kai'Sa lands as a Void Seeker, but the Killer Instinct not going to be utilized. And T1 trying to escape. Vista does find a bit of a Q onto the opponent. Ooh. Good hook attempt there from Lahens. Actually predicting the dredge line, but not quite long enough. Needs a few links added to that chain, I think. As T1...
Hey, wouldn't that be cool? If Ornn could upgrade, like...
Oh man, yeah, it's like in the shop, you can like upgrade each of your abilities. Like, Faker could like add more soldiers to his kit or something like that, and it occupies like an item slot. That would be really cool. I don't know whether that could ever be balanced, but it'd be damn fun.
I mean, that could be its own mode, right? It's just like Ornn's actually sitting in the shop, and then you just upgrade your abilities.
I mean, if we've seen Reddit recently, right? People are like calling for new game modes and things like that. They're like, oh, these new skins are cool, but like we want new game modes. Maybe that's the new one, where you just everyone doesn't buy items anymore. You just upgrade your abilities to do absolutely ridiculous things.
There
like
you go.
LM, instead of throwing out one axe, throws like 5 axes or something like that.
Because he's just holding it in both hands.
Yeah,
just comfortably throwing axes everywhere.
And like with his Brolaf skin, it's actually cans of beer, and he's like just spraying cans of beer everywhere. Oh, that would be brilliant. There are so many fun options. We should have a chat to Riot about this. Right. I'll send in the email after the game, don't you worry.
There you go. Well, Hanwha, in the meantime, they've been better at the whole Vision game since their early losses a little bit. I don't know if kicking off this Drake is the right call, though, despite the Vision. I guess they decided that Teddy was a little behind, but there's a teleport.
Yep, teleport from Canna coming in first, but Cubase immediately going to match it. Chains of Corruption do come down. It slows down Elam, but he holds on to the ultimate for a very long time. Finally does press that button, but Canna soaking up all of this attention in the front line. He's going down very low. Good knock up, but he will have to get out, but he can't. The hook is going to land, and he goes down extremely low. Vista trying to take him down, but he's unable to. He survives for so damn long, and Vista's going to bite the dust. A 3-0 in favor of T1.
Oh my goodness, I cannot believe Canna lived through all that. He literally he ults towards the jungle, knocks up 2, and then he just starts W keying towards everyone and just doesn't stop. And then Vista comes in for the kill. Quite frankly, even if Vista got that kill, would it have really changed the result of anything? Probably not. T1 would have still been able to regroup. They would have gotten the Drake. Hanwha would have had to back off. But going for that risky play and then not getting the kill, as you see the replay here once again, the teleport was earlier from Canna as well, so they have that advantage. Now you do see a nice chain, but it goes into Olaf, and Olaf saves his Ragnarok, uses it for when he knows he can be aggressive, which is another great part about LM's play right here. And Kana's just taking on all 5 members in the entrance to the jungle. He finally decides maybe this was a little risky. Vista thinks he can get the kill, gets the auto attack, but has to back away. And then the Qs are not hitting and goes to the Scuttle Crab.
I don't know how he survived. Where was he getting health back?
Oh my gosh.
Was that Ocean Drake difference? They do have an Ocean Drake. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know, man. That was like Bellow's Breath used to give you a shield, but it does not anymore.
No. But if Vista was able to get his Q off right away, as we see another good initiate onto Lehens.
Yeah, Lehens is dead.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah.
Sorry,
but
I should have let you do that one. That just didn't last long enough. My contribution as a play-by-play was, he's dead.
I mean, you're not wrong, right? You're not wrong, so you're still doing your job.
Nailing it.
But yeah, Vista, I don't know if it was maybe just on cooldown as he was coming in, but if that Q was early and just like 2 of those missiles went on to Kana, that would have been a kill. Maybe even just 1 given the health he was at. But he had to immediately dodge away.
By Haru as well. Like, how did it do absolutely 0 damage? I don't understand. Oh my god.
Man.
Just misleading. This champion is just busted. I think he got a grasp of the Undying proc at the right time. And that's what gave him a bit of extra health back.
Maybe.
But we're going to check out Lehens dying here. Break it down for me.
Slow motion, gets the perfect Ornn, and there you go. I mean, he's just locked down, but that's how much CC they have. With just the auto attack and the passive coming in from Nautilus. And, I was going to say before that Drake that Lehens was the only real reason that Han was, like, still keeping up and staying alive. But that ship has long sailed as well. And honestly, I don't think there's any way to talk around it. T1 is just going to be able to start rolling through this game at whatever pace they wish.
Yeah, they get to choose whichever happens this game, as they are now 6,000 gold ahead and in full control. 2.5 minutes until the potential Infernal Soul as well, and that feels like the last nail in the coffin for this particular game. And the revenge of T1 against the Hanwha Life that were able to steal away the first loss of T1. If we're looking at the stats, I mean, it really is a blemish on the record of this squad. They did not want that there. It's sitting there as their 2nd game of the season. And it's just not what you want to see. Is a huge engage. The Varus just dies basically as an afterthought, as now Haru trying to run away. Vista, a Void Seeker, is going to find the targets that he wants, but he's not going to be able to fight them. He has absolutely no right to do so, and T1 will continue shoving forward. Shirley is going to pick up a charge on the inhibitor, and might even start charging these Nexus turrets as well. She's down to 85 health, but can Hanwha Life even get to her? They can't. Shirley, what are you... This is like the most MVP Rift Herald performance I have ever seen. That was like, what, 3, 4 charges? Amazing stuff.
Every single structure, in fact. You're right. That's 4 charges. T1 recruiting that Scuttle Crab, and now Shirley over to their team in this game against Hanwha. And that's what we said. I mean, this was T1's decision now on how early or how late this game goes, and it looks like obviously they're not going to take risks on anything, any part. Mid lane now wide open against Hanwha.
Yep, having a look at this, I didn't realize that she also slammed her head into the outer turret.
Oh, so I didn't know that either.
Outer, inner, inhibitor turret, inhibitor, and the Nexus turret.
Oh my
gosh. That's, what, 4 structures? Damn, that is the most I've ever seen. She must have a very sore head after that. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of headbutts.
That's probably the maximum you can do. So that's a very well utilized Rift Herald, and of course, again, it was just really good combinations coming in from Effort and Kana as well, with the double knockups locking up Tempt on that Varus. It's just, honestly, oftentimes, and when I used to commentate League of Legends regularly, I was always the guy that, blew hope into the game and talked about what ways there would be for a comeback. But this one, I'm struggling. I am struggling real hard to find any window of opportunity here for Hanwha.
We only need to increase that cup to half full. That's the only that's all we need. But it's really hard to even get any juice out of this this Hanwha Life squad right now. I completely feel your pain. Don't you worry. As Lehens is dead, guys. He's real dead. He's gonna flash. He has the box. Not gonna get knocked up by the searing charge. But Kana really wants to kill him, and he's going to. It's gonna take him a while.
if that was entirely worth it because they just lost to Ornn.
Killer Instinct. Yeah, Teddy's just going to die. So that's a great trade for Hanwha in the end, but the Brambles aren't going to do enough here as Cuvée does dodge the knockup, but it's not going to quite be enough as effort right into the backline. There's the Emperor's Divide as Tempt gets flashed after by Elim, able to get that reckless swing, lock down the kill, and T1 are avenging their fallen 80 carry with a triple kill for Elim and the end of the game now for T1.
Yeah, that'll be it, obviously, thanks to Shirley's MVP plays in that mid lane. The lane is wide open, just one. Oh, and the teleport coming in as well, just to make sure that they have every single minion available to get rid of this Nexus, not taking any chances against Hanwha. And that's going to be the
Absolutely not. It's reminding me of the Avatar movie with the gigantic bulldozers. That's exactly what the Rift Herald was this game. T1 just walking past all of the debris and moving towards a victory here in game number 1. 24 minutes. Not a long one at all. Our first game yesterday was extraordinarily long. This is less than half that time. And T1 well and truly getting revenge here against Hanwha. I believe it was a game 1 win for T1 the first time these two teams met. Trying to check. No, it wasn't. It was actually Hanwha winning the first one. They lost the second and then were able to win in a bit of a brutal 43-minute game with only 1,000 gold in the lead at the end. It was very, very close for Hanwha in their first matchup. But unfortunately, this time around, it's not looking close whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that early game importance, and they lost it. And I think it was really nice that you mentioned that it actually really just snowballed out of that top lane, right? With the attention that Harley needed to spend after that solo kill against Cuvée, and that opened up Elim to now really work on that bottom side of the map. They got the first 2 Drakes, and they got a couple of those kills in mid, and then they were just always set up better. In that last fight, I mean, I think after getting caught, getting caught was the problem, but after getting caught, Lehens did his best to, draw out the Ornn ult, and that was actually really good. But it turns out they didn't really need anything because Ornn literally just stood there as this totem pole that was soaking up all the damage.
Yeah, I mean, Lehens did allow them to kill Teddy, right? But then what they traded for it was everyone. Unfortunately, as we're going to check out this solo kill here from Canna. Really nicely done. He did trade 1-for-1 in the end, but honestly, at that point, the top lane is over, and Haru has to give up his position, and at what point you've got Elim then taking the dragon. They move it into this exchange, which was actually relatively good for Hanwha. Tempt actually holding onto the ultimate for a really long time and able to utilize it afterwards, but it felt like the damage had well and truly been done at this point because things were just over. The tank on T1's side is just so much bigger than that of Hanwha Life.
Yeah, and Tempt getting just a little bit too close. Has to run away right after, and of course Lehens being the sacrificial lamb there. And now we see Cuvée just didn't really get to play any League of Legends this game.
Nope. And have we seen a victory for Maokai so far this season? We've only seen one other Maokai game, and that was Sword. And that was not a win. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen that match. The other Maokai did not win a game and was then what seems to be permanently benched. So maybe this is going to be really bad news for Cuvée, but we'll see what he's going to be playing in game number 2. I never want to see the Maokai again. Just don't want to see it. Especially not picked into an Ornn. Why? Yeah, I feel like this is a huge problem with our LCK players. They just don't know what to pick into Ornn. No one's figured it out.
That's true. I mean, it's not, even when you pick, potential counter picks, Ornn's just really, really useful, right? It takes a lot of effort to shut him down. But then the question is just ban him, right? Like, I understand that there's a lot of bans needed, but I'm pretty sure Ornn is a good priority ban. Like, I don't think no one is going to complain that you banned Ornn. Like, that will never happen.
Straight up, I completely agree. So hopefully Hanwha are going to look at their draft for the next game and try and make sure that things can work out, because we were talking about it before this one even started, and it was, I think the 80% was a decent prediction as far as the win chances for Hanwha with the tools that they had available to them in this game. It felt very elementary here for T1, and the Ornn did the most damage in the game,
I was
guys.
looking at that. Wow, that is a problem. that is a problem on so many levels for Hanwha, that that was possible, right? It also showcases just how much fighting was going on for Ornn top lane. And we talked about, initially we thought maybe that top lane was just going to be quiet and left alone, and maybe Ellen will have to fight Haru somewhere else, but Kana was like, no, we're still going to make this work because I know I'm stronger than that Maokai, which really begs the question on, like, I just wonder if Hanwha had success with that Maokai. I don't know.
Maybe in scrims, but maybe against different teams. As guys, we're going to have to wait until after the break to see whether there's going to be more forests that need to be chopped down in this particular game. Oh, these Avatar references just coming through left, right, and center. I like that movie. I haven't seen it in a very long time. Might have to go and revisit it after T1 certainly showed us some pretty good tree chopping in this particular game. Game number 2, not going to be the same, though, and that's going to be after the break. Hopefully we get some more Dodongas. As we'll have to have that conversation afterwards, Mr. Chober, about what he's exactly spoken about. But let's go to that break, and we'll see you afterwards for game number 2.